Hey traders, this is Blake Morrow, and once again, I have Mr. Richard Dick Matthews with GC Partners here to talk about his experiences in the market, life experiences really as a trader and broker. Dick, good to see you again.
Good to see you, Blake. How are you keeping?
I'm doing great, and for me, we're going on a long weekend here in the U.S., so I'm super excited about that. But I know we've had all these great conversations, and by the way, the love that you're getting from these stories has been really cool. And before we even jump into talking about you switching gears and becoming a broker and going into that side of the business, I want to ask you, what type of feedback have you been getting from people that have been listening to these interviews?
Fantastic feedback, actually. People are still reminding me of restaurants that I'd forgotten and restaurants I'm waiting for them to ring up and ask me to settle some bills. But going back over the last week that I mentioned the story about Boy George, or being more bent than Boy George, and the guy who actually said it listened to the podcast and got in touch with me, and I hadn't spoken to him for maybe 20 years. And it was so nice for him to come back to me, and he reminded me that he actually said that to Tony Blair's wife, Sherry Blair, who was the QC who was involved in the prosecution of this trader. So there was some favours all around there. So it's really, really nice. So great to hear from him. And he was a great kid at the time. But I'm saying that, so he said I was the best boss he ever had. So I'm going to be nice about him back.
That's so cool. That is really, really Tony Blair's ex-wife, or wife or ex-wife? Wife. Wow. Yeah. Wild. Any other type of feedback that you gotten?
Yeah, I sadly heard that Roger Salmon, who I mentioned, he used to have the drinking glove to
too cold.
The gin and tonics were too cold, and he had to keep his hands warm.
Yeah.
Sadly passed away a few months back, so it was sad to hear that. But we're all getting on. None of us are getting any younger.
Yeah, it's crazy, because I know these stories that you tell really jog a lot of memories for a lot of people. Even if you weren't in the UK, you weren't in London at the time, even if you were in New York, the feelings, the environment, I'm sure has just stirred up all sorts of emotions, smiles, laughter, sadness, for a lot of people. And it's awesome, but hopefully more smiles than anything, and more laughter and of good memories. So let's talk about you switching gears and jumping into the futures market as a futures broker. So tell us why you made that. Why did you change to the futures market?
I guess because I felt I was getting stale as a money broker. I wasn't going anywhere. I turned down the opportunity to go to New York, which was probably foolish looking back at things. And I just felt I was getting stale, getting in a rut. And this whole new market was opening up in front of us. London only had soft commodities, had sugar, cocoa, whatever in the 80s. And all of a sudden there was the financial futures market. And I thought, this is fun. I had friends in the commodities market and said, you'll just love it. You'll love the atmosphere. You'll just love the way of life. So I decided to have a crack and take a change of career and go into it. And to be honest with you, it's the best thing I ever did.
So did you switch like locations from where you were at? How did that work?
I switched,
even though you stayed in the UK, but
I stayed in London, and
okay.
I switched jobs. The trading floor was probably, I don't know, 300 yards from where I worked. Everything in the city is within a square mile, so it's actually relatively easy. I switched jobs. I went to work for a company called Sucden, excuse my French, Sucre and Donnery, which is a dreadful pronunciation, who are a traditional French sugar house, one of the great trading houses in Europe. Very, very experienced business. And I started there, and I started learning about commodities. And it was just like wonderful. It was a whole new world opened up to me of orange juice, and, frosts in Florida, and the orange juice crop has collapsed, and and soya bean, and the soya bean crap that you bought beans and then he made oil out of them and he put it all back together. And I just thought, this is just absolutely wonderful. So I spent 6 months or so in the office, and then went down to the trading floor once the trading floor had started. I think I sent you a photograph of them practicing trading.
Yeah.
But one memory comes back to me, which actually came back to me. A memory has come back to me now, but also that this guy was very influential in my career as things went on. I remember Christmas time, my first Christmas, which must have been 1983, I think it was. And this guy turned up, this to me brash American, if you excuse the language, and he turned up with these Rolexes, and he's giving everyone Rolexes, and they're saying, but this is a steel Rolex, that's no good to us. And he turned around and said, no, it's platinum, and he's giving some of the brokers platinum Rolexes as Christmas gifts.
Wow.
You know his name was Ray E. Friedman, who became Refco.
Wow, no kidding. I thought you were going to say he was from Duke and Duke. I'm joking.
Ray Friedman, and he was Refco, Ray Friedman Company.
Wow.
And then within 6 or 7 years, I was working at Refco, and it was just like the most amazing guy. We were very, very starchy in London, and starched collars, and still suited and booted and pinstripe suits. And he wasn't like that. He was a character and a half, to put it that way.
That's awesome. Oh my gosh. Well, platinum Rolexes, and nowadays those things are hot commodities. Holy cow. Yeah. That's great. So explain to me, or not just to me, but to everybody, the difference between being a money broker and a futures broker. I mean, yeah, you're in the futures market, you're trading some commodities, but what else? What are the big differences between the two?
The first big difference was the futures market was brand new. London had gone through a series of deregulation with Big Bang, where it meant that there were no lines drawn between what you could and couldn't do. A bank could become a broker, and a broker could become a bank. And there's this whole new world of a futures floor where people stood in an open outcry, and you traded face to face with each other.
Yeah.
A lot of people didn't want this to succeed, just thought, it's flash in the pan, it's bloody Americans coming over here telling us what to do, blah, blah, blah. And so the most part, the brokers who started down there were renegades from other businesses, either stockbroking, money broking, commodity broking, truck driving. There was every single character under the sun working down there. And that photograph that I sent you brought back some great memories of two great friends in there, one who sadly passed away, and another who is now living upstate New York, having ended up running a hedge fund, and fantastic mate of mine. But there was this sort of meeting of really, really vibrant, different people who just didn't really fit in where they'd been before. And the difference between money broking and futures broking was that you could act as a principal and as a broker. So, we could trade at the same time as we were executing orders. And we would stand there, what a commodity pit is, that it's open outcry and everyone can see what you're doing. And the skills are just different. Money broking is fine, but you're sitting in an office and you've got your screens and you've got your calculators by then to work everything out. Futures broking, it's quick. You're on your feet. It's in your head. You're reading hand signals, which I still use hand signals to express numbers. No one's no idea. I say to my wife, it's 7 o'clock. She goes, "What are you doing? How's that 7?" And it's still really strangely in you. So that all these new skills came about, and it was just the most fantastic, vibrant collection of people. And it started really slowly. I remember I think I had to do 100 lots a day to make a living, and I was paid a tiny salary, and the rest of it was made up on splitting my commissions. I had to do 100 lots a day, but within 5 years, I'm guessing, we were doing like 20,000 lots a day, 40,000 lots a day, and the market just absolutely exploded. So it was a great time and great fun, and I ended up with really, really good friends, because once you've been on a floor, it's not like being in the trenches, but it's a similar experience. The guys that you worked with are your brothers, and they're your brothers for life. And even now that I'm still in contact with a lot of the traders who were like Kevin Davis, who's a great mate of mine now. He was a sworn enemy of mine when I was on the futures floor, because he was a rival company.
Yeah.
There was something in there that you got through this, you did this together, that has built this fantastic unity between all of us. And it was the most marvelous experience.
Well, it's the camaraderie, right? And that's
That's
with
it.
you.
Yeah.
That's with you for a lifetime. I get it. I totally feel it. So, but you used a funny a funny word to call them. You called these traders renegades,
Yeah.
but were they really renegades? Or were they rejects?
Yeah, well, because RE. They would tend to be the uncontrollable guys who, they say genius and lunacy is pretty close, and it certainly was down there. They just had a different way of looking at life, and a lot of them were uncontrollable. And certainly, when I went local with a company called London Commodity Futures, LCF, which was better known as Lose Cash Fast. We just had the most incredible bunch of traders there who all had a flaw. I had a flaw. I used to go out to lunch and not come back for a couple of days. And quite a few of us were like that. But we had some fantastic relationships. But they were incredibly good traders. Some of the boys of the commodity markets who, I don't know, were too big for cocoa or sugar, incredibly quick. And the way that they could do maths and they could do spreads and butterflies, it still baffles me how they can do it.
It does take a certain special type of person. And that's one of those things that, I look back and I'm like, man, I wish I was in the right place. It was the right time, but I wish I was in the right place to be in an open outcry type of setting. I would have thrived and enjoyed it, and I'm sure you did too. Now, one question I wanted to ask. This is, we're now peering into the 80s, and in the currency market, the 80s was kind of a big time because in 1985, the sterling got absolutely clobbered. And I'm assuming you were a futures broker at that point. So how did it affect you, and what did you see, and how was your experience at that point?
It happened the day before my 30th birthday. So
Wow.
I've now done my research. Not that I would have remembered that. I remember my 40th birthday for something completely different, but that's another story. And we used to do a lot of interest rate stirs, interest rate futures for FX traders, because they realized that they could hide their hand in the futures market, where in the FX markets, they come in, it's Barclays selling, or it's NatWest selling cable, and everyone would front run them. Whereas they could come in and they could smack the futures market and no one would know what they were doing. So they could get their profit that way and not disclose really what they were doing in the FX markets. But it was a really, really interesting time. And I can't remember exactly the numbers, but I know that oil shot up through the roof. I presume OPEC, got together as a cartel, squeezed the market. And the Fed put interest rates up to, I'm sure I'm going to be wrong here, 21%.
Oh my goodness. I would have thought maybe the teens, I guess, but whoa.
Yeah. None of this baby step of tapering and maybe we might raise rates in 3 years' time by 0.25%. 21%. And it just absolutely mullered sterling. And sterling traded down, I think, in the spot market to 105, because we were trading in futures, and because of forward discount, it traded at parity. I also think that it bounced straight back up towards 2 within a couple of years, once that got out of the way. But those were the days of great interest rate moves.
Yeah.
They move at 1% at a time,
I'm hoping those days are coming soon, again in the currency market. But wow, what a wild time. And what a wild time to be alive and trading. And that was obviously before my time as a trader. But what an amazing time. So Dick, I want to say, hey, having you here and having you, tell these stories is just, in my opinion, just great. There's stories that need to be heard, told, archived. And I'm so glad that I could be here to share with you these, revisit these experiences, and hopefully it jogs some memories, and great memories for traders all over the world, no matter where they were at. So thank you so much for being here with us again.
A pleasure. Have a good Labor Day weekend.
Thank you very much. And you have a great weekend as well. And I can't wait till next Friday when we do another Tales from the Trading Desk episode with Dick Matthews. So thanks, Dick. And guys, just remember, Dick, he not only does these interviews with myself here on Trader Summit, he also provides a lot of great analysis in the markets, and he is a contributor at Trader Summit. So to find out more about Richard and what he does, check out GC Partners in the description below. Give us a thumbs up if you like this video. Also subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of his interviews. Dick, thanks so much for being here.
Cheers. Bye now.
Have a great weekend.